So sometimes they don't give us the y-intercept, and sometimes they don't give us the graph. Sometimes they don't even give us the slope. So we have another form called the point-slope form. So it's like a formula, and it's based on if you know a point, any point, not necessarily an intercept, but any point, and you also have to know the slope still. Okay, and that form looks like this. Y minus y sub 1 equals m times x minus x sub 1. So notice that you have a y sub 1 and an x sub 1. That's the point that you know. So the point that they tell you, that's going to be the x sub 1 and the y sub 1. And then they're also going to have to give you enough information to find the slope. Okay? The other x and y in the formula, that's part of the equation. So remember, our equations, our linear equations are in terms of x and y. So we expect to have the x and y in the equation. Okay, so I'll give you an example of how this works. Find the equation of a line with slope -2/5 and containing the point 10, -5. So here's the point that we know, and that I'm going to label it x1 and x sub 1 and y sub 1. Let me find that form that we just learned. Well, you might not have learned it yet, but if you keep writing it down, that'll help. Okay, so it's another thing to add to your note card. Okay, so now we're going to fill in the pieces that we know. We have y minus, we know y sub 1 is -5, so put that in. And again, it's that negative case where you're subtracting a negative number, so that's okay the way we have it written. Our slope is -2/5, and then x minus, and our x sub 1 is 10. Okay, so that's the form where we've filled in the information that we have, the x sub 1, the y sub 1, and the m, the slope. And now we need to clean it up a little bit. So we're going to write y plus 5 equals, I'm going to go ahead and distribute here. So I'll have -2/5 x. It's going to be plus because a negative times a negative is positive. And then it's going to be 2/5 times 10, which is 4. I'm going to put 4. I'll go over here. -2/5 times -10. So you're going to go, 2 and then, yeah, it's positive 4. Okay, so that's that part. And then they usually want these, it doesn't say, but usually they want them in slope-intercept form. So I'm going to go ahead and subtract 5 from both sides to get the y by itself. So y equals -2/5 x minus 1. And then that's the equation written in slope-intercept form. That's the equation of the line. So every line has specific equation that goes with it. And if you were to graph that information, if you were to graph the point and you were to graph, let's talk about that just for a second. This video is kind of short. If I graph the point 10, -5, say that's the point right there, 10, -5. Oops, 10, -5. And then I counted the slope, go up 2 and back 5, so something like that. You know, you could go the other direction. And then there's this equation, not drawn very well, but there's this line that we can draw with that information. This equation matches to that line. Now, yeah, oh, my slope or my y-intercept looks pretty accurate, -1, and the slope should be accurate, but that's what we're doing. We're coming up with the equation that matches with the line that we have drawn. I mean, you don't have to graph this because they didn't ask us to, but the information they give us provides enough information to graph it. And what I'm trying to point out is every line with specific information matches to an equation. And that's what we're finding, the equation that matches with that information.